And I looked at that and I said, I can't believe this. This got to be a bad dream. I'm going to wake up any minute in a cold sweat. I'm going to look at the clock. I'm going to realize, oh no, I'm late. I got to scrape those barnacles off my backside, get my rear end gear, and get to that radio station. And then all of a sudden, the guy had popped up, and he said, take this, you son of a pow. And I saw the sparks leave the barrel of the gun. I saw the fire, and it went towards my lower extremities. But I didn't feel anything. And I'd never been shot before. I'd been shot at, I'd been stabbed, I'd been beaten with baseball bats, but I'd never been shot, so I just assumed you're going to feel something if a bullet looks like it's gone towards your lower extremities. So now I'm figuring it really is a nightmare. I'm going to wake up in a cold sweat, and then he raised the gun and he fired it again, and I saw the fire come out of the barrel of the gun, and this time I felt pain. I felt cramping like I had never felt before. And you know what happens, your body goes into overdrive. My heart was thumping and pumping along my breastplate. It was like all of a sudden I was like that robot in Lost in Place. Mr. Robinson, danger, Mr. Robinson. I was completely motivated to save my life because I knew I'd been shot twice. So I immediately had jumped towards the door. I was going to open up the door as fast as it was going and take the chance that I would dive into oncoming traffic and be turned into a speed bump. But little did I realize that they knew that I would probably try to fight for my life. And the night before, when they had stolen that cab, they took it to a chop shop and they had sawed the handles off in the back of the car and then glued them back on. So that when I reached for the handle to open the door to jump out, it came off in my hand and pow, a third shot going right through my legs like a hot knife through butter. Now I've been shot 3 times with hollow point bullets. I'm bleeding like a sieve. I'm stuck in the back of the seat. I'm looking and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get out of here. I'm trapped. And then all of a sudden, I grabbed my Guardian Angel radio, which I always have on me, and I queued it up and I said, Angel 1, code red, Angel 1, which means a Guardian Angel is down. All Guardian Angels on board, all on deck. You got to try to find out the location and get to it in lickety-split. The driver was confused. He was the wheelman. He was part of the hit team. He freaked out. He assumed maybe it's a police radio. So he took some diversive action. He went onto the sidewalk, made a turn, and started going south. And I felt a strong gust of wind that was coming at me. And I said to myself, wait a second. No window was open when I got into this cab. Not in the back, the passenger seat. Not in the front next to the driver. So I had to assume the window was open up front next to the driver where the seat was empty. So I said to myself, feet don't fail me now. I got one chance alone. I can't see anything over the seat except the gunman trying to put the gun and hit me with a headshot, and then it would have been lights out. And I'm fighting him for the gun at that point. So I used the back seat like a trampoline, jumped on it, and dived in the direction of what I thought was an open window. Lucky for me, it was open. Problem was, I only made it halfway out. The moment the driver realized I made it halfway out, he smashed me into the parked cars. The gunman grabbed me by the belt, tried to pull me in as I was desperately trying to hit the asphalt, capped another bullet right in my back, pushed me out, and just assumed that's it. He's DOA, dead on arrival. And off they drove. It was outside of a gin mill, a biker bar, Hell's Angels. That's their national headquarters on the Lower East Side. I'm in the middle of the street. One of the bikers saw me, ran out, called the other bikers out of the bar, turned me over, recognized me, said, Curtis, don't die on us. Not the most empowering thing in the world to say to somebody when they're bleeding to death. But then all of a sudden, another one of the bikers, the Hells Angels, looks in the front and says, the cab is coming back, the cab is coming back. So where do you think all these steroid muscle heads ran? Back into the gin mill, back in the bar, and left me in the middle of the street. The cab is coming at me fast and furiously. I'm desperately trying to crawl away. I can barely breathe, I can barely move. The cab stops. Barely misses hitting my head, door opens up. I assume that's it, lights out. Mom, Dad, I've had a great life. I'm ready to be taken away. They're going to cap me in the back of my head, 2 shots. But no, it was Ahmed. who was talking Farsi or Urdu. I had no idea what he was saying, but he was on the CB radio. He had just missed hitting me in the street. He was another cab driver, and within minutes, all of a sudden the meat wagon showed up. 5-0 showed up. They started cutting my clothes off in the street. They put me in a body bag. They pumped it up with air. It was as if somebody had put a baby grand piano on my chest, as if they were suppressing the air in me. I was screaming in pain. They threw me on the gurney, threw me in the back of the meat wagon, took me to Bellevue Hospital. The next thing I know, the mask goes on. A day and a half later, I wake up in intensive care. It's like a meat locker. They have a sheet on you. It's cold. The bells and whistles were going off. There were tubes in every orifice of my body. I could see the liquids going in and out of my body, which was keeping me alive. And then when I opened my eyes, the first person I saw was the mayor of the city of New York, who, when I first started the group in 1979, vilified us as Hell's Angels, vigilantes. He couldn't have been any more negative. His name, some of you know who he is, Ed Koch. When I woke up and I saw Ed Koch, I thought I had died and gone to hell. I figured that's it. There ain't nothing good that's happened to me. But I recovered from that. But it wasn't until 12 years later that one of John Gotti Jr.'s lieutenants was arrested for killing 3 other men. And when they sat him down and they had him join Team America as a cooperator, he gave up the information that they had attempted to kill me on 2 separate occasions in 1992. 4 times I went to court against John Gotti Jr. 4 times I fornicated me as I gave testimony from the witness box. 4 times he skated on technicalities. The gunman got 20 years for shooting me, but John Gotti Jr. skated. The reality of that story is not to impress you. Wow, Curtis Sliwa, wow, what a lucky guy he is. You're doggone right I'm lucky. But rather to show you the tenacity that goes with the history of the Guardian Angels. We may take a licking, but we come back ticking. We try again, because this is a value system of our parents and grandparents. Everything that we're going to help train the Guardian Angels of Indianapolis in. And in fact, if there are to be strong Guardian Angels in Indianapolis, strong young men and women, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, if there are going to be strong adults who join the Guardian Angels, both from the city and from the suburbs, it's going to be because they believe in that same concept and they're willing to go through all that is required to become a Guardian Angel. You don't just show up and get a red beret and a t-shirt. You've got to be vetted out. You have to sit through the interview process. You have to fill out an application. If you qualify for the group at that particular point, you've got to go through 3 months of training. Clearly, the basic self-defense and physical condition will take place in the karate school here. But you got to get your CPR and first aid because you must be accredited. For every 1 criminal situation you come across, there are 10 medical situations. You come across people with heart stroke, epileptic fit, people who have been shot, stabbed, people who have been injured as a result of a car accident. You have to be able to know what to do immediately to give them some care until you can get the EMTs to the location who are better qualified to deal with giving them triage. The most important aspect of the training, though, is to understand the laws of what average everyday citizens can do. Because we're on unarmed patrol, but we're not just block watch or crime watch. We are eyes and ears for the police, but we take it up a few notches. Where were we going tonight for our first patrols? Downtown, near the nightclubs and the bars and the gin mills. You know the problems. In the wee hours in the morning, there are fights, there are altercations. For a whole host of reasons. Sometimes it leads to gunplay, stabbings, beatdowns, assaults, injuries, sexual assaults. We're going to have to separate people from time to time without necessarily arresting them and send them on the way if no crime is committed. But if a crime has been committed, we're going to exercise the right that every citizen has to make a citizen's arrest. And that's why that training is going to be so important to be given to each and every one of our applicants in Indianapolis. And then the final aspect of training will be conducted by the Chicago Guardian Angels, who will be visiting and taking them through their patrol procedures, role-playing, simulating situations so they'll have a handle on it before they actually hit the streets on a regular basis. That's what goes into making a local Guardian Angel. There will be no Guardian Angels unless you get involved, unless your sons and daughters get involved, unless your grandchildren get involved. It's what has to take place. This is a self-improvement organization. We don't look to the president, whether it was the previous one, Bush, or our present president, Barack Obama. We don't look to Washington. We don't look to the state capitol. We don't look to city government. We work with them. We cooperate with them. We communicate with them. But we are average, everyday citizens who do this not because government is ordering us to do it or paying us to do it, but because it's the right thing to do. It goes back to that Good Samaritan concept. And let me reassure all of you that whereas we have had a 31-year history, and the first 13 years were full with all kinds of drama because we had no cooperation, we had no communication, Mr. Howard and those who are supporting his effort here in Indianapolis have already done outreach, not only to all of you who are attending here today, but to the police, to the elected officials, to other organizations, because we want to partnership up with them. We don't believe that we have the panacea. We don't believe that we have the only answer into how to reform a community, how to bring back a better quality of life. We understand that we're just one of many options as you open up your wardrobe of options and you just add this to the registry. We as the guardian angels are going to add to your community, not woes, not more drama, not more problems, but we're going to be peacemakers and not predators. The other benefit of the guardian angels is that we take a chance on people. There are many young men and women out there who have been afoul of the law. They've been gangbangers and hoodlums, enemies of society. They've been drug slingers. They've been a menace to society. As long as they haven't appeared with John Walsh on tonight's America's Most Wanted, as long as they are not heinous criminals, criminals who have been found guilty of crimes against society that involve horrific acts of violence, that involve weapons, and a whole host of other crimes that you can imagine, like rape, like pedophilia, like arson, crimes of those categories, those folks would not qualify. But there are a number of other people in this community and other communities who have run afoul of the law who can't qualify any longer to be a police officer, can't qualify any longer to be a civil servant, can't qualify for a lot of community organizations. One thing they can in this organization is restart their life. As we tell many of the applicants, today is the best day of your life. You get to start all over again. It's as if you're a newborn with a fresh, clean piece of paper. Whatever your indiscretions were, whatever your violations against this community or society were, you have an opportunity to make amends. You have an opportunity to pay back. You have an opportunity to contribute. You have an opportunity to be a giver instead of a taker, a peacemaker instead of a predator. And that's one of the, I think, the beneficent, suggestive things that the guardian angels can do for your community. So understand this. We dare to care. I created this concept long ago in a place far away in the South Bronx in New York City. But it's as American as Mom, apple pie, and the flag. It's as American as to anything you've ever grown up with. You know this concept. All I've done is resurrect it, dress it up, put a red beret, a red sateen jacket on it. This is everything and anything that people used to do for one another years ago without having to ask permission of the mayor or the police commissioner, without having to partner up, without having to form an organization, without having to have a charter, bylaws, constitution, a 501c3, something that was innate to the American character. And it is something that we feel is incumbent in rescuing our young people, many of them who are lost, many of them who are destined to end up in prison, many of them who are already on the negative side, instead of re-citrifying them and bringing them on the positive side. So I want you folks today to step up. If you can't join and go through the training, I understand that, but you can help in other ways. Mr. Howard is going to need that help. The guardian angels of Indianapolis are going to need that help. They're going to need you to go out there and educate so that people know we're not the Hell's Angels. They know we're not Charlie's Angels. They know we're not vigilantes. We don't take the law into our own hands. We're not cast characters out of that cult movie classic, The Warriors, that talked about gangs and subways in New York so many years ago. We're average men and women who dare to care, who are volunteering and risking our life for the benefit of a community. So, in solidarity, our hands across the world, because what started as a local effort and was so disparaged in 1979, and just to give you a brief idea, for 13 years, we had no acceptance, no credibility, no government acceptability. For 13 years, we were arrested in the streets, we were scorned, we were ridiculed. I myself myself was arrested 76 times. I can't tell you how many times the coppers gave me a wooden shampoo on the way to the Hooskow. But it's not because they were bad or corrupt, they just didn't understand. They thought it was too good to be true. They didn't trust young people's intent. They were so used to dealing with them as mutts and skells, and so used to dealing with them in the correctional system and the juvenile justice system, that they couldn't necessarily understand that there were people like this anymore. I trust people.